It's time for February's edition of PlayStation Plus vs Xbox Live Games with Gold, where we take a look at both services' offerings and compare and decide on which one is better. Of course, as always with the PlayStation 4 games, we're looking at those titles that are available on the PlayStation 4 only, and with Xbox Games with Gold, we do look at the Xbox One titles as well as the 360 titles because they are playable on the One via backwards compatibility. With that being said, let's get right into this, and as always, we'll start off with the PlayStation Plus offerings. First, we have Rime. Rime was a game that was in development for a very long time, and it was originally scheduled to be a PlayStation 4 exclusive, but it was in development for so long that Sony backed out of it. But Tequila Works were still able to release a product, and while it didn't live up to the anticipation and the hype surrounding it, I mean, before the release of the game, people were comparing it to the Team Eco titles, Journey, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, just an elite category of games, and Rime doesn't hit that tier. However, it does have some incredible visuals, a great soundtrack, and decent puzzles. The game's story is a little bit muddled, but as a PlayStation Plus offering, this is a pretty good one. It has an 80 on Metacritic. We've also got Knack. Knack was a PlayStation 4 launch title, and it was one of the more anticipated PS4 launch games. A lot of gamers were looking forward to Knack more than they were Killzone Shadowfall because on the surface the game looked so good. Unfortunately, it didn't really deliver a great product. While the visuals were good, it really faltered in every other area. The gameplay wasn't all that great. The story is an absolute mess, and it comes across as just a very soulless experience. I think a lot of gamers were hoping that Knack could be another great PlayStation platforming franchise like Ratchet & Clank or a Jak and Daxter, but it definitely doesn't hit that tier. As an additional PlayStation Plus title, it's not bad, but its Metacritic score of 54 is definitely suitable. And finally, Grand Kingdom. Grand Kingdom is a game that a lot of gamers don't even know is a PlayStation Plus title. Sony has really been promoting PlayStation Plus for February around Rime and Knack. However, you can make a legit argument that Grand Kingdom is better than both those games. Maybe because it's a more niche title. As a tactical JRPG, it does cater to a smaller audience. However, that audience will definitely be pleased by Grand Kingdom. There's a lot of depth to the game. Mechanically, it's very well developed, but it does have a bit of a learning curve, but overall, it is a great game, especially if you're a fan of Japanese RPGs. If you like Final Fantasy Tactics, this is going to be right up your alley. It's got a 78 on Metacritic. So those are the PlayStation Plus offerings, and all of those games are playable on the PlayStation 4. Now let's move on to Xbox Games with Gold. Games with Gold has a pretty solid month. First, we've got Shadow Warrior. Shadow Warrior was a game that was on PC for a while, and it gained quite a following on PC. It's a throwback to 90s shooters, and Shadow Warrior is definitely off the wall. It's very stylish, very zany in presentation. It doesn't offer an incredible story for you to get engrossed into, but it does offer a lot of fun, and the gameplay is an absolute blast to go through. It's a decently length experience, and after you play Shadow Warrior, you'll probably like it enough to want to go and pick up Shadow Warrior 2, which is just a better game than the first title. It's got a 74 on Metacritic. Personally speaking, I do think that's a bit underrated.
Oh, come on. Die, sucker!
Always bring a katana to a gunfight. I'd also a gun.
Where are you going, Mizuyaki? Didn't you want to do business?
Next up, we have Assassin's Creed Chronicles India. Assassin's Creed is one of the most iconic franchises in gaming today, but many of you might not even know about the Assassin's Creed Chronicles franchise. There were a trio of games that were side-scrolling platformers, very different than your typical AC title, but they were still pretty good. These games aren't very in-depth, they released at a super cheap price, but they still offer some fun. And if you're a fan of Assassin's Creed, or if you're just a fan of side-scrolling platformers, Assassin's Creed Chronicles India is a decent title to check out. It's got a 64 on Metacritic.
And imperial palaces. War is on the horizon. Become Arbaz Mir, master assassin who must navigate through this dangerous and uncertain time. His mission is twofold. He must rescue his love from the clutches of his sworn enemies and recover what was stolen from the Brotherhood. A well-rounded warrior, Arbaz is highly skilled with weapons and a master of stealth. Your greatest weapon is your ability to move quickly and covertly. Hide, climb.
Now moving on to the Xbox 360 titles, and the first one is very good. We have Split Second. Split Second was a racing game released around the same time as another racing game in Blur, and both those games were very well received. While Xbox is known for their racing game franchise, they're more known for Forza, which is a sim racer. Split Second is definitely not a sim racer. It's an arcade racer, and it's an absolute blast to play. It's very fast-paced. Think of something like Burnout. The tracks are varied, there's a decent amount of replayability, and Split Second is just a blast of a game to play, especially because it's a game that a lot of you guys might have missed out on it. At this point, it's almost 8 years old, and I'm sure it's a game that not a lot of gamers talk about to this day. I remember playing it back when it came out, and I had a great time with it, and its Metacritic score shows it's got an 82.
Driver initiating route changer. Driver 23 has taken down the control tower. Someone called in the big guy.
And finally, we have Crazy Taxi. Crazy Taxi on the Xbox 360 is an HD port of Crazy Taxi from the Dreamcast. It's nothing to write home about, and it's one of the lazier ports that you're gonna come across. However, it's still a very fun game. If you've ever played Crazy Taxi, you know how fun it is. However, at this point in 2018, it's definitely showing its age. So this is one that's great if it's gonna have that nostalgic factor for you. However, outside of that, if you're just looking for another great game as a part of your gold subscription, I wouldn't really filter Crazy Taxi under that. However, for those of you that played it years ago, it's gonna be a very nostalgic experience for you. It's got a 59 on Metacritic, and while that's pretty low at this point, I think that's a very accurate score. So those are both PlayStation Plus and Xbox Games with Gold's offerings. So which service offered the better games this month? PlayStation 4 has some good titles. You've got Rhyme in there. Knack, while it's not a great game, it was a launch title, and it's a game that some of you guys might want to check out. And Grand Kingdom's a really good title that more of you guys need to check out. However, I would give the edge to Xbox. They've got Shadow Warrior, which while it has a 74 on Metacritic, like I said, I personally think that's very underrated. That is an awesome game. Assassin's Creed Chronicles India is going to offer you some fun, and Split Second is a terrific game that I'm pretty sure a large audience of the Xbox consumers have not played, so that is a great addition. And Crazy Taxi, while it's got relatively weak reviews, if you played it in the past and you want to go back and play it, it's very nostalgic and you can have some fun with it. And with Xbox Games with Gold, you've got 4 games as opposed to 3 on PlayStation Plus. Honestly, both services are pretty good this month. I know there's been a lot of flack towards PlayStation Plus this month. However, if you actually look at it, Rhyme's a pretty good game, and Grand Kingdom's a really solid game if you're into JRPGs. Sure, Knack isn't a great game, but again, that's a retail title that a lot of you guys haven't checked out. Still, I would have to give the edge to Xbox games with gold. They've got quality and quantity in this case. So that's gonna wrap up PlayStation Plus versus Xbox Live games with gold for the month of February. What do you think? Which service do you think has the better offerings for the month of February? Sound off with your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.